projects and experiments the experiments, in my opinion, took a vast turn in the late 70s and into the early 80s, from something that had been much more about like trying to get to like force children or people into some specific behavior, moved from that to like observing the behavior of specific people that you have found for some reason to be interesting, and then collecting information based on what you learn to see the direction that society, pop culture, groups of people, underground cultures are going to go, so you can use that to create your mimetic engineering, your genetic engineering, right? If they're very right. they're not different, right? So that then you can use that and you'll have had the information that you sort of gathered from some of these people. But like some of these games that
the projection, like doing the close study for a certain period of time and then letting it go out and see how it interacts at that point.
See how it interacts. And then I don't like, maybe it was just like, we're trying to see the way, we think society is going to go. And then they realized, okay, like it's going this way. That's interesting, but maybe we would like it to go a little bit more this way, or it's going to go all the way over here. We like that, but we wanted to stop a few steps short of like where it ultimately
goes. That's the morphogenesis. Like,
yes.
I mean, to me, like that's what Levin talks about is the patterning. Like, how do you build a hand and then know when to stop when the hand is done? Right. It's this idea of using a social network. I mean, the social network is a neural. I mean, I'm not saying that happened like that. What you were talking about was a social network, but what we're living in now is digital information, largely communicated through social networking. And that in and of itself is an electrical field guiding growth in a certain direction.
I do think I was in some kind of network, right?
Yeah.
I think a couple over time, but like the easiest one to quantify in terms of technologies that we see right now was like my involvement with underground dance music and the rave scene, and what has sort of happened with that scene in general, but just in terms of some of the amount of information that was collected with people on certain substances, listening to certain frequencies in certain locations with certain like kinds of, I can see the way that that's all played out in terms of like things that are being pushed now and whatnot. And also just like the people, like there's some phenomenally weird and interesting people in those scenes. And then like, what happens to them, but this whole sort of like somebody else always becomes famous for like a sound or an idea or something that someone else originated, or it's something that someone thought was cool. By the time it reaches the world, that person is like, they have distorted what I thought was cool, and this is not what I'm doing anymore, but nobody really even knows about that person, right?
Right.
It's such a great place to do. It's like a petri dish, and everyone's on drugs, so there's plausible deniability for everything.
Yeah.
Right. So there's plausible deniability.
You stupid son of a like this, beyond you gotta deal for your soul.